bottom right-hand side, our red Protoss player is going to be DnS. He's going up against the blue Terran player to the lower left-hand side of the map. From Cascade, Cass. Again, how are we all feeling today, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome if you're just joining us. Welcome back if you've been with us and are now excited for another fresh series. And finally, we are in the best of threes. I don't think it's ever taken us 2 hours plus to get to the best of 3 stages of Go4SC2, but today it has. We've had some very long games and some delays here and there. But here we are, best of 3. So what we'll do most likely, because this is the slowest section of the bracket right now, we'll do this best of 3, we'll go into the winner of this, into their semi-final best of 3, and then we will have a best of 5 final. And we should be finishing up. Depends on the length of the games, but we should more or less finish up around the time DreamHack is starting. Maybe just a little bit late. A little bit later than DreamHack starting. Either way, we're going to have action pretty... we won't finish before DreamHack starts, I'm pretty sure, so... We're going to keep you occupied until WCS Austin resumes for its final day, the semi-finals. Neve versus Major, and Nurture versus True. The semi-finals is going to be starting up today, and the finals afterwards as well, so that's all going to be happening. Just make sure you stay tuned for that, guys. Oh, not stay tuned, but make sure you tune into that. Do not miss the final day of WCS, because it would be a shame if you were to miss it. I'd be sad for you guys. I'd be sad for all of you, I really would. Don't say it. Anyways, what else is going down? Probe is moving back to the right-hand side of the map. Factory dropping on here from Cass. He does just go for an expansion early. No real surprises on this TvP opener on either side of things. TvP meta has been shifting a little bit, especially from the Protoss players. Playing a little bit less Phoenix Adept and playing a little bit more kind of Robo openings, Robo Twilight again, and that sort of style. So, intrigued to see what exactly DnS will bring to the table during the best of 3. Obviously, a best of 3 a great kind of opportunity to play some different styles throughout, you know. Obviously, you know, sometimes if it works, you know, if something works in the first game, you go for it in the next couple of games as well, because, you know, you think it's going to keep working. But it's also a great chance to keep your opponent guessing, to keep your opponent kind of, you know, figuring out what's going on and to play to each of the maps as well. So, we'll see how this goes. We do see this Reaper is going to be popping up in towards the main base, and Adept will come in towards the main too, chasing down that Reaper around the left-hand side here. So we'll take 1 shot, we'll take 2 shots now from the Adept, and a third shot very shortly maybe going to come down. Looks like it might escape. There's an Adept on the low ground though, to the side here, which will act as a chaser to this to the Reaper. And we'll be able to catch up, but it only gets 1 shot. Adepts are kind of a really awkward unit to use against Reapers, man, just because of the this is weird. Sorry, to the point where it's weird to the point where I stopped to just make sure that I understand what's happening. Yeah, Adept's a bit clunky to use against Reapers because obviously they take 3 shots to kill and they're just that little bit slower. But they can shade on top, so it's like a really cool little interaction between Reapers and Adepts. It's fun to watch. As the first Oracle comes out, I was just really questioning this proxy factory. Did he mean to make a factory? Was it meant to be a starport? Like, I mean, is this just going to be... I mean, obviously it's just going to be a super aggressive push forwards very early in the game, but man, it's very, very strange way to set up here, Cass. A little bit of a cheesy play, I mean, but to just proxy 1 factory, I mean, obviously it's unlikely to be scouted, which has to be the main thing you're looking at right now, because if it, you know, otherwise you would just put it in the main base, because you still have to wait for these units to move across the map. I guess slightly faster reinforcements with the kind of extra cyclones. That revelation is kind of sucky for Cass, because it means that he's not really going to be able to move across the map as he would like to. He's going to send these few Marines and a Cyclone across. He was momentarily leaving the others behind. It's kind of smart, because he's actually going to split the units up in a way that now they're not likely to be kind of seen all going across together, so DnS doesn't know exactly what's coming his way. Until he sees the rest of these Marines, now he's going to have a bit of an idea. Oracle comes around the back, catches some of these Marines which are moving over too, and it's a nice little catch right there as more Adepts begin to warp in, and actually already losing so many of the Marines can be a pretty big deal in all of this, so Well, let's find out. Only 4 Marines left at the front, 2 more running across the map. It'll take them a while to get here. Let's see what happens. Is he just going to run up into the natural? There's only 1 pylon on the front of the natural. Preemptively overcharged. Now he'll turn to fight the Adepts down on this low ground. Another probe transferring down, gets taken down almost instantly. There's so many Phoenix as well. You can definitely use these to kind of lift up some of these units and to take them out of the equation pretty quick. You're going to see the Cyclones locking onto one. Phoenix takes it down instantly, and again, the overcharge for now sort of saving the day. Still free Phoenix up. He's going to get rid of the pylon at the front, which gives him more access to the natural. DnS still trying to figure out the best way to deal with this. Lifts up more of the Cyclones, and I think that's definitely the way to go. Pulling probes in two. So much of the damage output for the Terran player being taken away by these Phoenix lifts. But now the Cyclones drop back down, and they're still pretty healthy. And Cass is getting rid of like every single gateway unit. I mean, he's obviously going to have reinforcements still coming across as well. And now he locks onto a set of Phoenix once again. So he's maybe going to get another kill. No, not quite. This natural expansion is beginning to fall. 2 Marines slowly working their way through the third base as well. Overcharge is nicely placed, and this actually might be deadly because it picks off so many of these Cyclones. He's going to momentarily try and suicide on towards the Nexus. Decides not to, runs into an overcharge again. I mean, it's super micro heavy, but it looks as though Cass is going to get pushed away before killing the natural. And now, because he's given up some units, he is going to start running out of steam when it comes to continuing to attack. So the third base will also stay alive. And DnS in the end is able to pull together a defense, which is able to kind of push him through to the next stage of this game. Super aggressive play by Cass. Killed a lot of workers, but only comes out a few workers up, and he is down a CC. Coracle over here drops the Revelation just before he gets taken down from doing a little bit of harassment. And wow, again, a really crazy few moments right there. It's just a little bit crazy. I mean, you push in over here. Pushing over here and you hear the power. I mean, I can understand Cass trying to kind of target down the Nexus. I'm just trying to think about how he could have changed things. I think just a little bit micro moving away from a couple of the overcharges would have just changed so much, of course, which would have been pretty crazy. As this factory goes away again, kind of stunned me, kind of made me question things in the first place. Well, of course, it makes a lot of sense. And if you want to hide your Cyclone count, then it's a fantastic, proxy and something. Proxy a second factory is a great way to do so. It's just not really a build I'm, really used to seeing or anything. So it was a little bit like, what? I was like, wait, is that the first factory? Did I never realize it was proxied? And it just really caught me off guard in the first place. Anyways, we're going to see the third CC finish from Cass. So he's not actually too far behind when it comes to moving this third CC into location and saturate the third base here in game 1 of this best of 3 series. As we're going to be seeing the Phoenix just moving around, and you have to be a little bit careful of a Widow Mine. DnS with Glaives now on the way up. He hasn't had any gateway unit upgrades up until now, so finally getting in towards Glaives +1 also. Setting up into just the very standard next stage of the game for himself, as he's going to do a little bit more damage to this orbital command, which does end up just landing down at the third. And 1 more Phoenix comes across the map, so again, just see if you can do some damage into the main. I mean, there's a missile turret here, but you can definitely dive in and pick off a good few SCVs. He'll get 1 or 2 from a distance. Being very cautious, actually, I feel, with not moving into turret range, but he still finds 5, which again just picks away at that economy and just allows DnS to come back into the game a little bit in terms of worker count, because he was trailing after the initial Cyclone attack, and he has built up since then with the worker damage going down to Cass's mineral line. It does help just DnS again sort of make up the difference of what the triple mule will be doing. If you look at the income tab, Cass has been ahead for the last couple of minutes just because he's had triple mule, plus the fact he's been, a couple of workers ahead also. Now it's going to be evening up for the most part, so DnS is, again, it's been a tough position for him. I mean, it hasn't been, he didn't die, but he didn't kind of come out in an advantage either. I feel as though Cass came out with a slight lead. But only for a few moments, because again, like, the Phoenix have the potential to kind of, even things out, and that's what they've done. So now it's kind of a tough one to call. It could go any which way, and, Cass, he does have good upgrades, and I think that's one of the big deals here. He's already got a lot of bio, he's already got a good chunk of army to push forwards and attack with. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Phoenix. There's actually maybe more Adepts out than I've realized as well. How many gateways are we on? 3? Only the 3? It could be problematic. No, he's on 8. I'm just missing all the ones in the back of the main base. There they are. So yeah, he's got a lot of gateways to utilize. So he's pretty much set up nicely here, DnS, to warp in enough to kind of defend. So yeah, difficult one to kind of figure out. It's all going to come down to these fights and decisions in the next few minutes. So let's see how it will set up. Again, not the most standard of ways to enter the TvP, but it's fun to see something different. Fun to see something different being tried, and to see someone having, you know, some pretty decent success with it as well. Phoenix coming around. We see that Robo facility is about to finish up the Robo Bay as well. Now finishing up in the back of this mineral line as here we go. Phoenix rushing forwards. Going to come in, grab themselves an SCV kill. Medevac will boost away before any damage is taken. Because again, that Adept is going to be shot down by a couple of Cyclones. Large push from Cass, but there's so many units in position. We're actually going to see Robo Bay being used for Disruptors here. Initially out of DnS. Kind of like it. Disruptors are a solid way to clean out some clumped up Widow Mines initially. Forces the Terran player back a bit too. Nice catch of the Phoenix, by the way. Oracle went down earlier, and that is a shame because with the Revelation now, you would just have that little bit of extra kind of safety on the detection rather than relying on this Observer to deal with the Widow Mines. Fourth Nexus, that's going to go down. DnS not in a position to protect himself from this at the moment. There's another Widow Mine dropping, and here we go. Disruptors, as we mentioned, going to go forwards. He's going to fight Widow Mines and Bio. Well, this will be the start of this fight, and well, maybe not. We're going to see DnS not shading on top of this. I really thought he was going to leap at the opportunity after cleaning up so many of the Widow Mines. Here we go. Now the Adepts are going to shade forwards. Now he feels he's got enough. What does he lift with the Phoenix? Maybe just the Cyclones? I mean, they're big DPS units that can go out straight away. He does some Marauders. Sentries pop the Guardian Shield Immortals here as well to help shoot through Phoenix. Phoenix is going to lift up any bio units that they can just to tilt things into his own favor. And look at the shutdown from DnS. He's got so much left over. Cass has absolutely nothing. What an engagement from the first Disruptors hitting very nicely to set up towards that fight, just through to everything else there. I mean, again, the Phoenix, when there's 9 Phoenix, they're lifting up 9 bio units. That's like, what, like 15 supply just disappearing. The Phoenix can chase down Medevacs afterwards as well. Very one-sided engagement as players would just equal on upgrades. And, well, now here we go. Just going to be seeing the units just going to push on over to the left-hand side. And this is going to be problematic for Cass. I mean, what has he really got? I mean, at the same time, he's got Liberators, I guess, is a good answer to my own question. He's got Liberators, which, in this situation, are actually better than you might realize, because there isn't that many Stalkers or that much anti-air for the pros. Yes, there's Phoenix, but they don't really want to be kind of... They're not the most secure way to kind of take down a Liberator. Kind of as a Disruptor hits again. Yeah, it's not completely kind of game-ending damage, but it's a connection that just withers away a little bit of this Terran army in a position where the Terran army cannot really afford to be losing too much. Just now, the Liberators are going to be sieging up quite far away from this base, and so potential to push on in, start damaging the position. Some of the Liberators a bit further ahead, and we might see the Phoenix able to come in as well themselves to try and do a little bit more. Fourth Nexus finishes up then to this upper right-hand side. Some probes going to pull back and get to mining once more. More Stalkers join in underneath the rest of this army. A couple of Colossi as well. And just looking to see what might happen here in the next few moments. So, getting ready to push on forwards. Marines, Marauders will start to split on up. A big chunk of these going up to the top side. Phoenix will try and chase the Liberator. Liberators are pretty chunky though. You know, they've got a nice little bit of health on them to keep them alive against these Phoenix shots, which are pretty low damage. Obviously they're armored as well, which helps out against the Phoenix, so it's not the easiest of units for Phoenix to chew their way through, and there is quite a lot of them. Cass up on these 2-2 upgrades, as in the meantime DnS goes into 2 more Stargates. The Fleet Beacon also about to finish. Generally against the Liberators, a good counter would be to go into Tempest, so you can just pick away at them from a distance. You see a Disruptor shot in the center of the bio! It does not get killed in time, and that Disruptor, while dying at the very end, that is going to be absolutely huge. And we're just going to be seeing, well, continue to push in. I feel as though it's getting to that point where, you know, DnS is really feeling as though he has enough to engage. He just has to figure out a way to kind of dodge the Liberators for long enough, as Adepts will shade in towards this fourth base as well. Just going to keep on being a nuisance and being an annoyance to the Terran player, forcing SCVs to pull away, limiting mining while he still pushes towards the front. Phoenix will dive on in and just look to get another Liberator kill. Gets 2 Liberators, another one down to half health as well. And there is that Fleet Beacon being put to use. The Tempest now on the way out. A few bio units to clean out the SCV killers, the Adepts to the top left-hand side, and just re-securing the economy on that base, as DnS still very patient here, does not want to throw away an advantage, does not want to throw away the lead he has created for himself over the last few minutes of the game. So patience is definitely key when heading in towards that sort of situation, as we'll see the Prism coming forwards and lifting up a few of those Adepts. Going to start transferring them in towards the main base to try and get a little bit more done. Another hallucinated Phoenix moving on forwards, and I mean, DnS just continuing to expand to 5th base as well. It feels very similar to the Guru game we just watched, of course, basically where, in the sense that Guru is very much so, he was kind of limited to his own bases, and DnS was able to just expand very freely, and that's kind of exactly what's happening right now in this PvT. A few adepts here will not do too much, a few work kills, not much more, but still nice amount of damage just to help out and to push him into a bit of a better spot. Again, more adepts to the top side, keeping that Terran player busy, just being a frustration and trying to slow him down when it comes to rebuilding, etc. As the first Tempest do arrive as well. No Oracle to hit that Revelation, which can be so important, but look at the Vikings actually. Cass has been building up a few of these, and actually has a pretty scary Sky Army, enough to kind of really fight against pretty much everything that Vikings can fight against, you know, Colossi and Tempest. There's only 3 Tempests and 2 Colossi, he's got plenty of Vikings for that. Lucidius taking a good chunk of the damage initially though, keeping the real ones alive. Big blink forwards, helping out massively against those Vikings. It's a pretty big deal. Disruptor shot hits the edge of the army. Stalkers again with the blink, able to turn and fight these Liberators, something which DnS hasn't really been able to do until he's just built up this Stalker count in more recent times. So he's been able to set that up rather nicely indeed, as this army of DnS does back away, which is the smarter move. Just back away, wait for reinforcements, keep on trading this out, as here we go. We do have army setting up again, and oh, this time it looks as though we're going to be seeing that Terran player continue to push on in. It's another Disruptor shot to try and connect, and it just doesn't happen because the Disruptors get killed, and this Bio army is making the Protoss army disappear. Everything is just going down right now. The Tempests go down as well, and DnS's army just gets absolutely crushed in the end. He was just missing the right amount of everything. You know, he had a couple Colossi, but that wasn't really enough. He had a few Tempests, but that wasn't really enough. And then he didn't have any. You know, he had 2 Disruptors, which both got targeted down. So it's a really weird sort of situation to see stimming forwards this Nexus, and a few of these probes are going to keep on falling. I mean, Cass just with a great engagement. I mean, he got cleaned up so heavily early, and the Liberators kept him in the game. He kept him alive, and now DnS kind of pays the price for not finding a way to close that out. Nice Disruptor shot as he stims on forwards. Again, another Nexus is just going to take so much damage. The Liberators fighting so effectively in the skies and just able to clean out so much, pick positions, and all the rest of it as well. And now all of a sudden it's DnS only on 3 bases. Liberators on siege as well. Cass will pull back up towards the top. And we've seen the +3 weapon, +3 armor on the ground coming in from DnS2, trying to get into the next set of upgrades, but it's not going to come easily, not at all. It's been just on a single forge throughout the entirety of this game, by the way, and against the double engineering bay of the Terran player, Cass has had some upgrade advantages, although we haven't really seen them being kind of, you know, utilized too heavily. So a lot of these units here from DnS going to move up in towards the center of the map, and I mean, he's going to try and fight once again. To be fair, he did have a bit of a larger bank, and he had put it to good use just now. 6 Tempests still in the sky. There isn't many Vikings at the moment. So, to be fair, 6 Tempests can do a lot of damage. They have the range and the kind of one-shotting power to just pick away at kind of one Liberator, 1 Medevac at a time, which is nice, but the Observer goes down. There's no Oracle. We've mentioned that before, and that means there's no Revelation. The Liberators can't really use the entirety of the range. Here he goes. Zealot's charge follows this Disruptor. Somehow goes to the center of the army, but doesn't actually kill anything. As Cass split his units very nicely, kind of forwards and backwards. And as Liberators go down, it's just a massive bio that will just destroy these Zealots. Absolutely no chance on the ground here for DnS. And Cass runs forwards. He's just going to clean up everything. DnS types out GG. Cass does take game number 1 of this best of 3. Get it rolling. Oh, sweet, says Von Schleyer finds the new HD SHI hearts. They're cool, right? I like them. Let's do this. Let's go in game. SHI heart is like the basic SHI heart. And then STI Hot 2 is like the upgrades. You'll be like, haha, I'm a mega supporter. Kaboom. But you can combo them. You can combo them and all the rest. And we got to keep the original STI Hot, right? It's such a crucial. It was the first emote on the channel which really did become a part of the channel, you know? But I think the illustrated heart is quite nice as well, so we'll get a bit of both. Bottom right hand side in game 2 of this best of 3, guys. It is going to be our red Protoss player. Down again, let's see if he can bounce back. It is DnS. Bottom left hand side, the blue Terran player from Cascade. It is Cass. Okay, so we set up into this best of 3 and have a little bit of a look to see how this will go over the next few moments as a probe comes up towards the upper left hand side, has a little bit of a scout around, looking to see what's happening, looking to see what's going on in these early stages. Nothing too crazy, I would say. Nothing too crazy, nothing too ridiculous. Just the Nexus coming down, CC dropping as well. Nice standard way to set ourselves up into this second game of the best of 3. Looks as though we might see a proxy Stargate up to this left-hand side. Probe being kind of just kept over here. Might just look for a delayed scout while dodging the Reaper, which is a huge possibility as well, actually. So that's also a possibility here. We'll see what exactly he wants to do. I mean, no pylon just yet. So I guess not going to be... Hopefully we can manage to see the mothership before pops, and the Reaper will take a couple of shots of damage and pushed away by that MSC. And now we're going to see the Adept is going to try and chase the Reaper down as well. Well, okay, apparently not. There we go. Runs past the Reaper, and we're just going to be seeing the Adept continue to chase the Reaper down. That's a little bit of extra damage, and again, Cass just getting pushed away. Here we go, probe then. Obviously, I guess I didn't really talk about one of the most obvious ways in which this probe could be a nuisance, which is the pylon rush at the front. Mothership Core and Adept coming across to obviously try and help out with this, and first 2 Marines may get rid of one of these pylons, but there's no way they're going to get rid of both of them. As DnS will probably just cancel the second one here. Kind of surprised that he lets it finish, actually, as we'll see the probe. The Adept will get taken down by the Widowmine. He saw that burrowing, so a little bit of a lack of concentration there, as we'll see him targeting down the reactor first. I like it. Reactor first means that he's just going to limit so much Marine production. I mean, Depot is very likely to supply block your opponent, but it's not really guaranteed, you know, and so if it's not guaranteed, it's generally a little bit safer to go for what is guaranteed, which is, you know, slowing down production by killing the reactor. Alright, so we're going to see this Reaper hopping up to the high ground as well. And one Adept continue to chase it down. Another gate coming in just to the top side of this main base. And you can just see right now this Adept is going to clean out the Reaper. But he gets a full scout of the base and sees the Dark Shrine, which is hugely important information. Knowing that there's going to be Dark Temple on the way, unless he just assumes it's a pylon. Because Cass maybe wasn't paying the most of attention right there. Then you see the Twilight, and I think you see this. And even if you don't click it, you've got to assume the possibility of a Dark Shrine. So you just start to throw down the engineering bay as 2 more barracks coming up in the main base. So setting up towards this as Cass sets up in towards his own kind of Widowmine and Marines. DnS though, already 15 workers up in the game. Blink will start as a follow-up and extra gateways. Again, Dark Temple will see how much they do initially, but we are lacking an observer right now. So this initial Widowmine will be a little bit of a nuisance. These Marines as well having a great time. I mean, this location kind of behind the mineral line away from any pylons. He's really having a fantastic time. Jumps up in towards the main, confirms Dark Shrine just in case he didn't notice it before, but I think he did. Building the Raven, has the engineering bay up. I'm pretty sure he realized what was going on. As these gates finish warping, we're just going to be seeing DnS in a position where he can warp in and set up into the next stage of this as well in the next few moments. Team Marine's going to drop off to the side here again, get ready to try and push on in towards the main base, see what exactly they can get up to. A couple of Stalkers coming forward to try and pressure this back. Blink upgrade is coming up to being about halfway done as well, so it's about halfway done. Raven continuing to come on out here, and the Stimpack 2 is being built up over on this barrack, so Stim's still coming down, and again this Prism is having a look to see if it can get much done in the next few moments as well. Medevac for you Marines from Cass. Can actually be able to delay. Ooh, is he going to let the probe get that? Oh. No, he's going to get the kill. I was going to say, maybe the probe can still get the third Nexus down, so it doesn't actually become too much of a delay here in the end. But probe falls. As Cass just about 8-ish workers behind at the moment. There's the third Nexus coming down as well. A couple of Cyclones in the main trying to defend. These Archons having a pretty good time though. It's kind of, I mean, Archon drops against the Terran is maybe not the most expected of ways to play, but it's going to work out nicely. This DT, unfortunately, is going to be underneath the Raven, so a bit of a weird one for DnS. He has to try and figure out what he wants to evacuate out of here. I mean, the Dark Templar would be nice to keep alive, but it's going to go down now, so it becomes very obvious, I guess. It will just be the couple of Archons that get lifted and escape off to the right-hand side of this. So again, 2 Archons lifting up the Prism. We see Liberator production. It's very weird. I think Cass in general can just, you can just tell that he's being thrown behind a bit. Like, he doesn't have reactors and add-ons set up to a starport and factory just yet. It's been a tough one. Starts up his 3rd CC, which isn't really too late considering he's playing TvP. Generally, the Terran player is the one to expand much slower in the matchup as of recent times. Losing Stim would be a huge deal, and that's why the SCVs will come in and make sure they repair it there. The Archons will drop down to get some SCV kills, however. Cass, very good play actually, pulling back at a perfect time to make sure the Stim cat gets repaired, but not to allow the SCVs to actually get killed. So that was good, that was nice. And Cass playing pretty well so far, despite the fact he fell quite far behind to the pylon rush. Since then, he's been doing a pretty good job, as we're just going to be seeing again. A few Stalkers, a couple Sentries from DnS, just gathering together between the 3rd base and the Natural at the moment. +1 attack, Resonating Glaives coming in as well, and just looking to see what else might be happening here over the next few moments. One observer sat just at the front to watch for Cass moving across. The other observer in the very common drop path, of course, here as well. Just going to set this down to the south side. And again, there's those extra gateways just being built up for DnS. So setting up himself into his free base production and just going from there. I mean, I am intrigued though to kind of see how Cass can play this out, because it won't be easy. But he did play from behind in the last game after taking a certain fight, and well, after being from behind there, he did end up winning game 1. So a lot of possibilities right now on either side. Let's watch and see. Cass actually floating his factory out onto the map, so he's not going to build any mech units. Not going to introduce Widow Mines to his play or anything along those lines past these first couple of tanks, or just the single siege tank even. He's going to play kind of like Mass Bio, which he was playing in the last game after the initial kind of Phoenix Adept stage. Just going to completely just the fact he's completely bypassing the Widow Mines, I guess, is a little bit surprising, as he will begin to expand towards his opponent. I don't mind it, because if he's going to play a heavy Liberator count from a pretty early stage of the game, then he can utilize this kind of narrow choke point through the south side of the map to push with the Liberators, and with the Liberators he'll be able to get towards his opponent's base without too much issue at all. As the Rebel Bay will be coming up to finishing, the upgrades are even at this situation, at this moment in time, and so DnS has to keep on pulling away. Doesn't want to push into this position, and Cass able to saturate the 3rd base. And we are getting ourselves a nice solid mid-game then from both players. 3 bases apiece. I mean, DnS even thinking about going up towards the 4th base now also. So sign up towards that as we see this Prism lifting up a few Adepts, and it's going to be seeing these Liberators going to siege. It looks like targeted pretty instantly. The Bio stims though, and actually one Liberator still sieged up in the skies. It takes a while to go down. The Archons disappear. Sentries are being pushed back. Guardian Shield is popped. As we're just going to be seeing the Adepts threatening to shade forwards once again. Looking to maybe jump on top of the Marines and Marauders, and these Marines and Marauders will just split up. Not sure if that's much of a necessity when you don't have your own mines to kind of worry about. Yeah, I think DnS is just going to win this fight, and this time he should be able to push through to victory, because he's already in the bases of his opponent rather than being the defender when he wins this larger fight. So here we go, takes down, well, doesn't take down the 3rd base, but he forces it to pull away and takes down the SCVs and the other structures in this location. And now he'll be able to keep on pushing forwards, probably in towards this natural expansion, to try and take down some more Marines, some more Marauders, and just to clean things out a little bit, I suppose. Liberator sieges up. These units from DnS having a little bit of a jive around again, having a bit of a think as to how they want to approach this here. The Liberator again pushing a bit further forward. Stalkers doing some good damage initially. There we go. One Liberator falls. These Marauders continue to take a lot of damage. Can get rid of another Liberator as well. You're going to see these SCVs continue to drop quite dramatically. A Disruptor coming in just to help clean up some Bio. It's GG and Cass. And we are going to a game 3 of this best of 3 quarterfinal. Again, a lane Cass, and the action is already beginning, as down to the bottom right hand side of the map is going to be the blue Terran player from Cascade. It is Cass. And to the upper left is going to be the red Protoss player. It is DnS. Tying the series up 1 game apiece as the proxy Rax comes in, but DnS will scout early. Obviously good information for him to be able to see this, get a Zealot out, Probably get the cyber core maybe a bit faster than usual. If he sees it in time, he might actually not see it before the Nexus comes down, which is a little bit unfortunate. Might still be able to cancel the Nexus. He might just let it finish anyways. Let's see how it goes. Okay, he comes to the base, you'll see double gas, you'll see the lack of Iraqs, and so he'll begin to understand how it goes. It's joking in chat saying Twitch chat is here so I can pretend to have friends. Now Arius comes from and says, I thought Twitch chat is here so that I can pay you to be my friend. Well, I mean, that works too. $4.99 a month and I'll be your friend every single time I'm live. How about that? Beautiful. I'll even be your friend in the Discord server. I'll be your friend all over for $4.99. That's a pretty cheap friendship, you know. $4.99 a month. It's pretty cheap, like, if you ask me. $5 to have a guy you can talk to and who will talk to you about stuff you like for a while. Yeah, I mean, that'd be a great deal. We should set up a business, like, stuff for friends. Anyways. Gonna see the Zealot did come out in the end, and again, the initial Reaper will be annoying and frustrating to deal with, and you're probably likely to lose a probe or two, but you gotta remember how much faster your own expansion is here compared to the Terran player, so that's gonna be DNS's kind of, well, that'll have to be kind of DNS's happy thoughts right now, that his opponent's base is pretty slow, as we will see him just now losing the second probe. Pretty good defense for the most part, actually going into Marines at the front, and actually will get a bunker. So bunker here going to start working through that Nexus. Now that is interesting. I'm not really sure how that plays out overall. Maybe he just needs a pylon and an overcharge to help break through this. It's going to be difficult, man. He's going to start doing some damage, throws down a double pylon. I guess, yeah, use the Zealot to tank a bit, and then he's definitely going to be able to get the pylons up. So you'll see the Reaper going to try and grab another probe or two. It's the third probe kill of the game, and probably a fourth. Nothing to stop this Reaper on the low ground at the moment. In the meantime, Starport begins to build to the left side of the map. The factory built at home, which is pretty common. Build the factory at home just in case of any sort of counter, and then you can build, you know, everything else, the starport, on the left-hand side as a proxy to hit the base very quickly. Now, immediately we see there's a gate from DNS. Question is, how quickly does he put down some sort of tech, which will help him to either kind of detect against the Cloak Banshee, which this is going to be, so I don't have to talk about the Liberator option. So just going to be dropping down this tech lab, and we are going to be seeing Cloak Banshee play coming up in the very, very near future. As we have a couple of moments, thank you very much, Von Schleyer, for the cheer 500 in the chat. And bits have really become very popular in the last kind of week or two. Like, I said this a lot yesterday and the day before, but we've had so many cheers in the chat recently. It's absolutely insane. It's insane. Thank you very much for the cheer 500. Some more love, some more hearts. Thank you for supporting the stream, dude. Appreciate it. As we do see the Cloak Banshee on the way up. A probe facility does begin to build, though, so he's setting up into the correct tech to help him deal with this. So DNS, providing his observers in the right place, a couple stalkers too, should be able to deflect the Banshee, and then he should maintain a pretty good position, currently making 2 probes at a time against, well, a natural expansion which is still just in building mode. Obviously is very good for DNS really, so all about the Banshee defense though, you know, because if he does just let this Banshee pick up a whole bunch of probes, then he will find himself in a little bit of trouble, as we see the Banshee coming over to the left-hand side, and he's going to be seeing that pylon getting thrown down over here as well. Stargate will come up in the main. There's going to be seeing these extra gates going to finish on up and get going once again. Full Stalkers warp on in, and again, still just a Mothership core overhead, waiting to see what's going to happen in the very near future. These 2 Stalkers did begin to work their way through that Banshee, so a little bit of damage being done. There's 1 probe dropping and another probe getting dropped as well. Again, Observer just not quite in the right place at the moment. We actually see the Cyclone just picked off a Stalker or 2. A little bit hectic then. Observer does come back in. It's going to be 6 kills to get the target fire. Oh! Well, actually, you can get more probes very quickly. He's going to get 2 more. 8 kills is not bad at all. Where's the first Banshee, by the way? Was the first Banshee? Oh, it's come back home. Interesting. Okay, but 8 probes is kind of enough to kind of keep DNS's work count in a reasonable sort of state, so that Cask can be very competitive going in towards the kind of the future setup for himself here. So, just going to be seeing the Starport lifting up. Going to head back home, and yeah, I mean Phoenix is on the way out from DNS to kind of keep on defending. Banshee to the upper right-hand side of the map will loop around, and again, Cask look for a few more worker kills to propel himself from a decent position to a winning position in terms of the economy in this game. But Observer is placed well. And a Phoenix has come out, which is always nice. However, the Observer may be a little slow to kind of keep up with his Banshee. Will force a recloak as Cass uncloaked right away there. Observer is keeping up though, and that will indeed be a dead Banshee. Wow, it went down very quickly. Pylon drops as well. Third Nexus. Again, continuing to build. Couple of missile turrets, one in each mineral line. It's going to be seen Stimpak and Combat Shields finishing up at pretty similar times too from Cass. Just very well set up really, as we see the Starport as it floats back home. We'll be able to drop down onto this reactor and get ready to pump out a couple of medevacs or so to line up again with sort of a potential to push across the map with his first few bio units as they hit those bio upgrades. In the meantime, Twilight and a Forge for DnS, and again, off of this Stargate base play, he looks as though he might head in towards something like the Resonating Glaives and the +1 at the same time. Could just go into Blink. I mean, he did go Robo before Stargate. Stargate a bit of a later response to what was happening in the game. But I mean, I guess now that he is making Phoenix, he probably will go for the Glaives and go for that kind of Phoenix Adept combination, which we have seen work very effectively for him so far today. Even in the game he lost, the Phoenix Adept stage of the game, he won quite convincingly. So, setting up towards that as these few Phoenix. Gonna pull back up the right-hand side. A 4 Phoenix as well, joining up, gathering. And these units all together, looking to see what they can do as some Marines get a little bit of damage done onto a few Phoenix up in the sky. Things will continue to back away there. Another pylon on the high ground from DnS. A purple pylon from the high ground from DnS. Obviously just looking to sort of set up some positions where he's going to be very safe against this bio push in. I mean, it's all well and good his army. Well, actually, maybe isn't that large altogether. And the Phoenix count, maybe not quite there just yet. As you can see that, yeah, Cass feels as though he can keep pushing into this. First Widow Mine actually fires onto the probes. The second Widow Mine hits an Adept or two. Still plenty of Marauders left over at the end. Phoenix do have lift energy remaining to help him clean this up, as it's going to be seeing Cass pulling back a little bit. Nice little kind of bit of aggression there initially, though. Able to push on through, get a little bit of damage done. As we see 2 more gateways just coming into the main base. Observer just going to keep stalking this army, of course. DnS wanting to keep a track of where his opponent is at any point in time. Overall, a good defense from DnS. I like the fact that Phoenix fly to the left side a bit, get ready to deal with a potential drop, you know. Pretty classic Terran thing to do. Attack on the right side of the map, and then just afterwards hit on the left when the Protoss has been so concerned with the right-hand side instead. The Phoenix are pretty fast as well, so they can very quickly respond and come back over to the right to defend when the main army does push on forwards and there isn't a sign of a drop to the left. As nice little scan picks off that Observer rather quickly while backing away. And Cass setting up into his own third base too, finishing up into an orbital command center bunker just for defensive purposes in case of any run by and walkthroughs and harassment. Just give him a little bit of a safer haven to hide behind on that mineral line. There's another medevac joining up as well, and still a lot of units in general from Cass, and he'll look to keep on pressuring for these. However, life becoming a bit easier for DnS as he does set up with more units of his own, of course, and he's starting to get those tech-heavier units in play as well. The Robo pumping out a couple of Immortals. Still the Phoenix looking for potential drops to the left side. Cass is still just pushing up the right though, and we are going to be seeing the Stim forward. He's going to be able to get rid of the pylons pretty quickly if he wants to, which is obviously going to be a pretty big deal. A bit of mine goes off on the mineral line, which is maybe not ideal. I mean, it's nice to kill some pros, but it would be better if he could kill the entire army, and then afterwards he'll just clean up the third Nexus. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, 4 probes is still 4 probes. It just maybe could have been a better engagement for him, as we'll see really a lack of Marines here. And without any anti-air, maybe a couple too many Phoenix lifting right there. Without any anti-air, he could chase down those medevacs, but they did take the opportunity to already start flying away. And DnS will be a little bit late to kind of start chasing towards them. Meanwhile, Widowmine goes off yet again, making it 7 kills for himself. Finally getting cleaned out by this army as, again, Marines. Ooh, actually, Phoenix in a Widowmine shot or two. Didn't actually see that myself, so DnS getting caught slightly off guard. Having to be careful, having to be cautious of this bio army as Cass pulls over to the left-hand side as well. Again, trying to maybe change up direction of attack, just change up, keep his opponent guessing to some extent as to what's going on, where it's going on, what's happening, and those sort of things. Widowmine will be again set to burrow in a moment or two. DnS still just rebuilding a few of these Phoenix. He dropped down a couple. He's lost 3 or 4, I think, in this game. Oh, he hasn't lost a single one. Wow. I thought the Widowmine connection on the right-hand side was a couple of Phoenix being killed, but apparently not. But he's just continuing to build up into a few more Phoenix. There's a second facility. And RoboBay with it means that we are seeing that transition from DNS beginning to come into play. Of course, the potential to go into disruptors. There's the rest of things. I was going to say, like, when I saw it before, it looked as though he'd lost a few, but obviously they were just split up a bit. But yeah, the RoboBay allowing him to go in towards the first sort of real splash damage of the game, allowing him to really sort of, again, just hit the kind of follow-up, which is where you want to be as the pros. You know, you don't want to stick on Phoenix's depth forever, especially if you don't kill your opponent early, then you definitely don't want to stick on it forever. So begin the transition out, and Blink is about to finish. It is once more going to be 2 disruptors initially here. The last time we saw DNS get into disruptors, I mean, we saw them a bit towards the end of game 2, but the game was very much over already. But in game number 1, we saw the disruptors actually had some very good connections. They really did held back quite a lot, as we're going to see an instant cancel on the 4th base. And in the meantime, Cass's 4th base coming up very easily. The power of map control is really shining through right now, as we see Phoenix just grabbing one of the medevacs, but again, Cass, the 4th base is a very Marauder heavy army, by the way. I haven't really mentioned it, but we're talking about more Marauders than Marines, so really just super tanky, able to survive for a very long time. And again, very limited number of kind of Widow Mines or any sort of factory usage at all. Just kind of bypassing that altogether just to get more bio and to build up into the Liberators. So, a bit of a different way to play from our Terran player here. Maybe not what you would usually expect to see, as everything joined up together is going to start pushing up the left-hand side. And just going to see a couple of those Adepts getting taken down pretty quickly. The Phoenix still moving around themselves, looking to grab whatever they can, wherever they can. I mean, as a Phoenix, if you can pick up if you're in the right position, you can kill pretty much anything. If it's a reinforcement moving along on its own, maybe medevacs fly a bit too far ahead of the army. Players positioning for the next real clash in this game. 2 tier upgrades against 1-1 in favor of the Terran player, but the first disruptor shot will go down. Hits quite nicely. Second disruptor shot peels away, and a third one does connect. I mean, all of them ended up connecting, but maybe not as nicely as we thought they would, as Cass continue to pressure forwards. DnS having to back away there for just a few moments. Now he'll get ready to gather himself and to push forwards once more. Phoenix already doing a little bit of damage here, and you can see the medevacs will start to drop. Cass is being chased away. Off the back of a good fight, he's having to be a bit more cautious than he thought he would. As again, a disruptor scaping the edges, allowing him to pick off just 2-3 more Marauders. But it does all help out, as now DnS just sits over to the left-hand side. And still more disruptors just still on the way in. Still no switch into Colossi or anything else at this point. Another disruptor shot. Just hunting, seeing what it can find, but doesn't find anything at all. As the Liberators will very much so keep Cass in a very safe position against this main army. There's no way that DnS can justify pushing up this ramp and in towards all of this Liberator fire, so you have to be very cautious about this. As another orbital, well, the main orbital, will just fly over into the location on the right-hand side, another base being taken essentially. Got some Adepts harassing mineral lines. DnS is actually going to find himself moving around the side of Cass's army, but Cass is already getting ready to respond. He might just siege up on top of the Protoss player. The Liberators begin to set up those siege zones. I think there's a disruptor that got shot down already, and as the bio tries to stem in, another disruptor shot will move forwards, and another one too, and again it will connect. Liberator is still a big deal in this game, as a perfect split by Cass, left and right, and the disruptor shot just goes straight down the center. No further damage done. I mean, it is just so clutch with these disruptors, because we all know how much damage a single disruptor can do if the micro is just a little bit off for the Terrans. So Cass doing his best against it and really kind of having a good time with it so far, I would say. Blinking forwards, these Stalkers are going to get rid of a couple of Marauders right from the get-go, and Cass actually going to make a large stem up the right-hand side of the map. We'll actually turn and get ready to fight. Marauders and Marines are going to start fighting too. Disruptor shot again. Just hitting to the edge of this army. More disruptors keep on flying on through this, and another one too coming forwards. Lone disruptor to the right hand side will get taken down. Obviously a little bit misrallied. Meanwhile, Marauders are working their way through Adepts towards the 4th base. DnS still in position on the map and is looping around trying to find the openings where he can just catch Cass out of position where the Liberators are not already sieged, and find disruptor shots as well potentially, which could be very much game ending if given the opportunity. Another disruptor again, not really hitting to the center of the bio, but doing well enough to keep him pinned back. And again, disruptor shots really have been key in the last few moments as Stalker count. Again, trying to find a position where Cass is not sieged up towards the front, or, well, you know, hit the sides when Cass is sieged up towards the front, I should say. Liberator siege once again, another disruptor just a little bit shy. He's going to be seeing Stalkers again, trying to do A little bit more Liberators still, though, get into the right positions as now DnS trying to establish his final base of the game. Vestige often criticized nowadays as a map with too few bases, only 5 bases per player. And these 5 bases are starting to be mined from as this Liberator over here from Cass does do a small amount of eco damage. Cass with a lot of minerals in the bank is actually just missing out on a lot of gas income at the moment, as we'll see again. Disruption shots hitting nicely, connecting well, and still DnS very competitive in this game down through the center here. With all these units sieged on up, and still DnS cannot find a solid way to break on through, but he's still just again picking away at just the edges and doing a little bit with that every now and then. So Cass again very limited in gas more so than anything else. There you see him. DnS broken around. Obviously DnS doesn't feel as though he's got the opportunity here to really tech up into the next stage of the game, such as Tempest, which is something we saw him doing in a previous game back on Newkirk Precinct. Generally, you need something else to kind of deal with these larger Liberator counts. You know, a low number of Liberators you can fight with the Stalkers. As he's just going to take the opportunity to fight as the Liberator's on siege, but he still has to back away in the end. And again, utilizing the Disruptors as a way to try and hit the middle of this army, just pick away a good chunk of the bio. Never stim forwards, bio backs away once more. Nice blink forwards. There's a lot of Liberators going down before they even fire a shot. That's the sort of engagements which DnS needs right now, as we see the Disruptor again still doesn't quite find the main chunk of Marines, but now we've had this weird rotation where it's actually going to be DnS who's out of position on his 4th base, but again, Disruptors are connecting. I dare not look at some of the kills on these Disruptors because I feel as though some of them should have quite a few, but the ones I'm clicking on aren't having too many as Cass pushes forwards. The Liberators go down, and well, DnS is going to get rid of absolutely everything right now. The 4th base staying alive as well, and this one medevac with units inside will be left to live. As things calm down, I'm going to click some Disruptors here. 7 kills, 1 kill, 7. Maybe not as many as I thought. I guess some of the Disruptors have been going down throughout the game as well. How many Disruptors we lost? 7. They've probably been some of the heavy hitters. 18 Liberators killed. You can see 5 more Liberators being rebuilt here right away. DnS is probably just like finally getting rid of a good chunk of these Disruptor shots connecting again. I mean, the other nice thing, though, is even if he rebuilds Liberators now, DnS knows he's also just killed a whole bunch of medevacs. And so if there's Liberators, there's no medevacs. But if there was medevacs, there'd be no Liberators. So either way, DnS is going to have a nice little advantage in that regard, because you sort of need both in this position of Cass. Disruptor shot again, just going to hit nicely, and again towards the bio, just forcing it backwards. Liberators begin the siege, and Stalkers will blink forwards and start to target them down. Is there enough of them? Well, I guess they'll just move away from the Liberation Zones to the Sentries. That's not where you want to be, guys. It's definitely not where you want to be, as you see Liberators re-sieging once again. Stalker's still trying to find the correct connections. Using Disruptors still just force away some of this bio. He'll rotate around, maybe towards this planetary fortress. Not going to be easy. Whoops and Stalker's top left, and does find that tech lab from the early proxy plug Banshee that this game did begin with. So you see another Disruptor moving forwards and pushing it back. A little bit of that Marine Marauder. Again, more Stalkers still coming through the left-hand side. Those reinforcements going to be essential to the cause in the very near future, because he needs a way to keep fighting the Liberator count, which Cass is obviously very clear that he wants to rebuild. Pushing on through here. The natural expansion has been broken. The Disruptor will go down just before it fires, but it's a little bit too much by kind of gateway units at this point. And it looks as though DnS is going to do enough here, although there is still reinforcements peeling out and coming out every now and then, but is it enough? Another wave of Liberators will come out and protect the main, but now DnS just goes towards the 3rd base. He goes towards the 4th, and again, I mean, those are positions which I guess right now are somewhat unprotectable. Looks as though some pros were dealing with a Liberator or something over here. A few of them going down before it got cleaned up, and we'll now get back to mining once more. Again, at the same time, Liberator to the left-hand side. Cass again very heavily in the lead for Eco for the past 5 minutes and longer. But the trades have just been so good out of DnS. 28k to 32k resources lost, a 4,000 difference. And now he's going to find another great trade over here. Bio units without any sort of backup, another huge Disruptor shot is just going to help DnS to push through this sort of position. And now he turns around to the other side where he's going to find an engagement he probably could have taken, but decided not to. Oh, messy on the Archons, letting them run back in towards that position. Losing some of these tech-heavier units. Stalkers pointing forwards again. He'll just back away from the Liz. But more Stalkers coming through. I mean, soon he definitely does have enough to fight this, if not right now. And I guess why fight it, though, if you can continue to dodge away and just trade nicely without the need of kind of just attacking in. One final Disruptor left alive, about to come off of cooldown yet again. Just going to be seeing still this army is going to pick away at another barracks or two, again just slowly shutting down what it can. stopping whatever production he can into Pure Marine. Thought he was going to get away as he got away from the army, but the Disruptor shot chasing him down as well. A nice force field. He was taking some shots. Stalkers momentarily running in towards that planetary fortress. You know, Cass is holding, and if you can get enough bio up, this is very much so like a pure Stalker army at the moment out of DNS. So if Cass can just get enough Marauders, these Stalkers might just disappear still. Disruptor shot to begin. Again, one Marauder goes down. That's not a good way to start building up enough Marauders to truly fight against this. Meanwhile, Medevac over this right-hand side is those Marauders going to get taken down pretty swiftly. Nice little bit of micro at the end, but it's not really going to change anything. The Medevac falls, the Marauder falls, and the Stalker does not go down either. Nice defense, and you do see once again DnS coming forwards here. And oh, Cass, he sieges up the Liberators way too far forwards. That, my friends, is going to be a bit too much. The Marauders will fight against the Stalkers quite effectively, but not well enough to deal with the number of units. And DnS, it was long, it was hard, but it was